PPO matters, yeah. Okay. So, duals don't give a shit. Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing is in the Cadbury point, there's a lot of text. So in something like that, what you've put in bold is going to be very important. So if you're just looking at the bold stuff, you see 3 projects, 300 million INR, improved profitability 10% PPO. All of it sounds amazing. So therefore, be very careful about what you're putting in bold, because that's going to decide whether they read it or not.
I just wanted to add a little bit to the Cadbury point, specifically because the way I put it in is a lot about how consult actually happens. So I talked about drafting a roadmap, I talked about what I did individually. So everything that I've written is basically personal impact, and the style that I've written it in is essentially how a consult case would work. So a lot of you with FMCG interns or research interns could be actually able to do that. Maybe you could try that out.
Okay, so we've established that he started the professional experience part by writing the most relevant points to a consulting firm. After that, we go to POR. So PORs, they'll just see whether you're heading something or you're really making an impact. And generally in Insti, an impact in PORs will end up being you're heading a big team, and quantifying your contribution to the team. So for him, secretary, obviously he's put the numbers in 4950 students, etc., etc. Then placement team. So placement team, again, you see he's put in bold the number of coordinators and core members he's had under him, which tells a consulting firm that is someone who is used to working with people and good at working in teams. So that's something which, as we said earlier, they want, right? So if you're a consulting firm, you can see what will appeal to you in this. Then within the placement team, there are again action verbs: diversified, implemented, initiated. These all tell you that he's. So this all tells you that he, in that role, was not doing what happens every year. When you're bringing something new to the role, when you're having an impact, which is a word which is being thrown around a lot, this tells you that he's had an impact and he's initiated things. So that's his personal contribution. So as he said earlier, he's framed it in such a way that he's shown all his personal contributions in there. So again, POR also, he'll get really good points there. Oh yeah, so he's also shown that he's climbed a ladder, right? He's gone from being part of the placement team to heading it to becoming the ass. The institute's ass. Okay. So then extracurrics is usually what most people use to kind of make their resume seem a bit holistic. It's your personal human side of the resume, unless you've really thought that also. That can also count as spike, but most people usually show their human side, what are their hobbies, their sports. What really matters is, don't put things like, I participated in treasure hunt for my hostel level stuff. You want to tell stuff where you've actually won something. Trust me, every point should be impactful. If it isn't, don't put it in just to fill in space. It'll create a negative impression. So he's very smartly divided into two, right? So now anyone who sees this immediately feels that social service is a forte, because he's made an entirely separate section for it. So if, even we are seeing this for the first time, the first impression immediately is he's done a lot of social service. This must be something dear to him and a forte. So again, structured, heading, coordinated, a lot of action verbs. A lot of mentoring. Oh, he's joking with it. Okay, then conferences and international exposure. So this then goes down to interest, squash and all that. So the bottom two lines is just making you seem more human and holistic and all. What mattered was up there, and the things in bold here like INR, whoa, okay, a lot of money. How you do this, bro? So did you get the point of the resume? Let's summarize this.
Before summarizing, one thing that you should note is that you can have different sections. So I think conferences and international exposure is not something which most people would have, but if you have enough to make it look like a spike, definitely put it as a separate section. Even social service, Bhavik's already pointed it out, you should categorize your stuff such that it becomes a spike.
So essentially, when I was making my resume, what I wanted to put across was the fact that I had been with the placement team for a long time. So that is definitely something that's going there. Another thing that I wanted to put across was my experience with my internships. So these are the two things that I wanted to center my resume across. And additionally, there was this thing, I really like development policy as such. And I wanted to portray social service as a bit of implementation of development policy. So when I went down to interest as well, I talked about development studies as an interest, and I put up my development studies as a minor. So I did all of that because I knew that MECCE as such is going to have a penchant for people with social service projects. So that is specifically why I put that line of thought in that fashion. So in a nutshell, I just focused on impact points in each vertical. The extracurrics part of it is usually different for everyone. So you don't need to worry about that. So some people have a lot of tech soc, some people have a lot of lit soc, whatever. So.
Disclaimer, right now, if you feel slightly intimidated on seeing a resume, we've all been there. Whenever a senior shows a resume, before you've made yours, you'll feel that you probably don't have the content to fill it up. It'll be a month-long process, but you can you can write down a resume which looks like this. So don't be like intimidated or insecure about this. This happens every year. You will have to sit down for a month or more than a month and actually work to get such a resume written down in such a way, in a professional way.
Like for example, had I made this resume when I was say I don't know, like when I hadn't thought through it much, I would have probably put in other PORs as well. I would have gently filled up Mechanica or whatever. But I made a consistent effort to remove that and actually put a lot of points about placement team. So this is something that I think you guys could take away because all of you are definitely in one POR or the other. So this is for people who are in the POR line of things. So don't worry about trying to look at a lot of PORs. Take one POR and just expand on it. Like that shows more impact.
And lastly, if you actually take a look at all of our resumes, you'll see at least 3-4 points in 2015. So that was after this placement drive. So all of us were intimidated, and just to make it well-rounded, we've actually done a couple of things. No, actually, that's actually true. If you take a look at all of our resumes, you'll definitely see 3 to 4 points.
Sure, like you think about your resume now, so that in summer you can do something which can, close your resume in a perfect manner. So you do use your summer for that.
No, but if your resume shows only technical skills, like if it portrays that your focus is technical skills, then that's good. Like essentially, if you're showing your technical skills, that's not a way to generate impact, but you're focusing on impact. So that doesn't work.
Okay, I think we'll wrap this section up. So, all of resume I think we talked about. Yeah, let's pull this up.
Any questions in this section?
Yeah.
Is mentioned, you must be having some very strong reason to take up this job, not taking up.
Yeah.
So my reason for my PPO was concerned with the
If you have a PPO and you're putting it on your resume, if you're shortlisted, you reach the interview, you're definitely in high probability going to get a question about why didn't you take it up and why you taking this up. So you'll have to answer why not that and why this.
I had got a question. So I had one finance intern, one consult intern on my resume. So finance intern, I had got a PPO. They asked me, why did you not take it up? So I told them I had a consult intern too, and I liked it better than finance. So you need to have some logical reason behind that.
That will all be in your interview prep. We'll come to that later. You don't really need to go into that right now. Any questions on resume? Otherwise, we'll move over to talking about case prep.
Anything else? Education.
What all goes into academics apart from CG? You will have scholarships, you will have institute awards, you could have research papers, projects, all of that will fall into anything which is related to academics. I think, does your IM Wala thing also fall into that?
I had all my research skills into internships. So academics consists of CVs, scholarships, research projects,
Awards.
Does that answer your papers is a very big thing. And papers are
Okay. Any other questions? Otherwise, we'll move to case prep. That is your post shortlisting process. Yeah, okay, we'll not go into so much detail. I can see people getting restless. So, do we explain case?
So, okay, case prep. Like you all know what a case is?
Yeah. So, consulting selections happen on the basis of case studies. Your interviews are case studies, mainly. So, case prep is preparing to crack those case studies. So, should we start with the...
So, you must have heard of seniors doing it, right? So, let's deal with doubts that are appropriate at this stage. So, what questions do you have regarding case prep right now? Any questions?
Because it's a bit too soon to really go in depth into something which
Like
you'll anyway get start right now. You'll anyway get a buddy once you shortlist it. So that person will also walk you through the process.
You'll start only next sem, and it's best you start next sem only. There's no need to do it right now as such.
Case prep ideally begins next sem, most commonly post shortlist.
Most commonly, but I think most of us did start it before for the shortlist came out.
You need to know, you need to be sure that you'll get shortlisted.
Okay, so any doubts?
Let's just put case studies up there. Any doubts which spring to your mind when we put case studies in front of
That
you?
you might have at this moment right now.
So generally people suggest like start solving one case per day. So do we start it?
Okay, so her question is there, I think I'll rephrase it too, is there a particular number of cases you need to do per day? Is that your question?
Now, do we start it off right now or like?
No, so right now is ideally not suggested simply because case studies aren't a procedural thing. I mean, you need to know how to go about it, but there's also an element of creativity involved in it. So what my seniors at least told me was, if you start too early, you'll start to reference to things you've already done. Say if you've done 100 cases and you're given a fresh case, you will immediately look back to the 100 you've done and fit something in, which can go wrong because case studies are real life problems. So what you need to learn is how to solve it, what are the tools to solve it. But that's why they suggest start later, start next sem, so that you don't get into the rut of always referencing before. You need to retain some amount of creativity.
Small disclaimer, 100 cases is a highly exaggerated number. Please do not